it's Carol here. I've come to share one of our tools of change for you today. And this has been amazing and very, very simple, like most of these things are, but possibilities of profound change. So who might benefit? I actually don't know anybody who wouldn't benefit from doing this, but it's originally used as a letter of freedom. And the freedom is from the mind chatter that we have. Now, everybody runs a story or a number of stories within our minds and emotionally intact, or it sort of sends you a bit loopy. You know, the stories, I mean, where you are quite negative towards yourself, or you feel somebody may have disappointed you. Somebody has bullied you from school. You haven't said back to somebody in a situation the things that after the situation you wish you could have said. Anyone have that one? It can also be used to heal a great many parts and aspects of our hearts. It can be used for, you know, when somebody's died very suddenly and there are things left unsaid. So this letter to freedom is all of those times in your life, individually or accumulated, where you would have liked to have said something. You would have liked to have said something differently. You would have liked somebody to have said something differently to you. So these are the things where your mind goes over and over and over, and it's that hamster wheel of regret, of guilt, of anger, of disappointment, of all of those lower vibrational kind of tones of thought and feeling that you have reported back to me on a regular basis want to be free of. You want to really break free of it. You want to be finished with that old story, not forgetting. That's silly to think that we can or even would want to. It helps to shape us into the person that we are today, but certainly to be able to move forward into our present day moment and into the future as a freer you, as a more expansive you, as a happier you, as someone to let go of the shackles that you perceive someone else has actually put upon you. It's that this letter of freedom does. Let go of those shackles and be free. So if you fancy any of that, what you will need is a pen and paper. We need to actually write down things. And when we're doing this, we're starting to actually let the emotions and the mind surface all of those things that have been there anyway, and they've been running you and perhaps limiting you in your joy. The reason that they've been there in the first place is they're trying to surface, they're trying to leave you, they're trying to get out so you can replace that with something different. And if we don't actually look at them and really have a good look at what's in there and be totally honest with what's in there, then they just keep perpetuating into morphing and just being a murky part of our lives that really we're so over and we don't need anymore. So again, this is obviously your choice as to whether or not you actually use these things, because we can provide you with loads of tools that have helped change our lives into a much happier existence. But it's your choice. It's always your choice. Please remember that. Please remember that you are the master of your own mind. And I just love that one. I think that's fantastic to keep reminding ourselves. Well, wow, if I'm the master of my own mind, why am I putting up with some of these thoughts? What am I doing here? It's like, okay, so we can actually change how we feel about some of this stuff. So fabulous tool, letter to freedom. So what you need is to actually make a promise to yourself. This is where you get to be really, really, really real. And so the promise to yourself is, I'm going to write this letter, and I promise to myself no other person on this planet ever gets to see what I write. Ever, ever, ever gets to hear what's in it. Okay, so just let that one sink in for a minute. Now, first of all, you've got to choose who you're writing the letter to that no one else is ever going to hear or see. So, you know, it can be some of the people I've worked with, they might have chosen somebody who bullied them in the playground when they were in the playground. So time scale is irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant. It can be a very long time ago. It can be 3 minutes ago. It makes no difference whatsoever. And you can do this to people you feel you've harmed, people you feel you've disgraced or upset or whatever. But we're going to start off today with those that you feel have really harmed you, or you really feel uncomfortable with, or you haven't just had the last word, or whatever it happens to be. Where there's pain, where there's heartache, where there's discomfort, where there's anxiety in the pit of your belly when you think of those people. So we're actually going to acknowledge all of that lower vibrational feeling, and we're going to turn it into something that you're going to choose to be instead. You know, some people are still plagued in their story by something somebody threatened years and years ago. They made a threat years and years and years ago, and it's still owning people now. Where I honestly believe quite often it's been proved that the person that said those things years and years ago, quite frankly, has forgotten all about that, or forgotten about you. And they're off living their own life quite the way they want to live their life, whatever that happens to be for their choices. And you're still allowing that threat to own you. And this is where it's so perfect here, because we've actually chosen to put ourselves in a prison there. Not that other person from years and years and years ago. It's us that have chosen to keep that prison intact. And today's the day you get the key to open the door and step out and create a different sort of life. This is a co-creation time of great manifestation. And so you can choose to use it if you will. I really hope that you do, because it's worked in my life superbly well, and loads of people who've actually done this. So what we do is we remember what that person said, or we remember the feelings that we're feeling. That's not hard to do, because this story is usually running you and affecting you in lots of different ways. So basically what you do is you write down this letter to that person. So I'm going to use Great Aunt Flo, whoever Great Aunt Flo is. Okay. And we actually go, right, Dear Aunt Flo. And then you let it all out onto paper. You know, write it all down. Writing things down starts to actually tell the universe you're serious about removing this from internal to external. So you get it out. You bring it up through your heart and your belly, where all the anxiety usually sits. It's bringing it up in through the chimney of the soul, and it's bringing out of you in some way, shape or form. Usually through speaking in some way, shape or form. So we're going to write it down first before we speak it. Okay, for those of you who prefer to type it in and then print it off, you can do that. For those of you who can't write, if you can speak, if there's a way of you actually using some program or other where you can dictate it in and then somehow print it off, maybe that would work for you. But basically you want to get everything out. Now, this is a time where you're not going to be judged. You don't have to feel guilty, because all of these things are in there anyway. They've always been in there. You know, I've worked with some people who say, yeah, but I don't like that part of me, Carol. Well, actually putting it aside and burying it just allows it to fester. So it's a time to be really, really honest. You know, those are all dark places. They're festering places inside of us. They cause real illness. So, you know, the dark only stays in the dark where the light isn't allowed in. Don't be afraid of really gutting out those feelings and really being honest with yourself of all those aspects that you are. Because if you can allow that to surface, bring it into the light, it changes what it is anyway. So many people have reported back to me that they just feel freer because it's no longer owning them. They're not running away from it. They're actually bringing it out into the light so they can do something with it. So you get your pen and paper, pencil, whatever, and you write this letter. Great Aunt Flo, do you remember when you said no, 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 and I said no, 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 no? Well, this really felt like no, 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 and blah, you really get it out. Everything. Now, sometimes people choose to do this over a few days. If you do, put it, you know, under lock and key where nobody's going to find it while you're in the process. No longer than 3 days, please, because we don't want any wallowing. We don't want you having to stay in that sludgy bit for longer than necessary. It's really nice if you can just get to it for a day. What's a day in your life where you can actually dedicate yourself to being honest with all of that stuff, that pain, that hurt, that anxiety that's inside of you? Get it out. Put it down on paper. And then at the end, it's really important that you put no harm be done. Whether or not you feel in that moment that that's a truthful thing for you or not, just do it for me if you can't do it for yourself. It's just energetically saying all of this angst that's coming out it's in preparation for your freedom and your love and your light coming back and your joy and your energy, because it's attached to all of those things, all of them. So what you're doing here is you're just freeing yourself as best you can. So just put no harm be done. What that means is you don't really mean that person any harm. You don't want to take action against them, because if that was true, you'd have already done it. You'd have already done it. What you want is to be free from it and free from any perceived control. So this is where you take your own power back for you. We were the ones that gave it away in the first place, by the way. It was never taken. So we're taking it back. We're taking it back for us. So then what we do is, and this is difficult for some people, so stay with me on this, because if there's been physical abuse and mental abuse that has gone on when you're writing this letter for that person that's done those things, you might have to position them on a mountaintop somewhere very far away. Sometimes people are quite happy to imagine that that person is in the room that they're in, but you get to choose how near or far that person is. Okay, so do have them quite away from you, the other side of the room, as a minimum, and then put them outside the building or outside wherever they need to be, so that you feel empowered. The positioning of that person in your mind is up to you, but you need to feel empowered and not threatened at all. It's about taking your power back. So then you pick up your letter, and the next stage is to read it out loud with every single emotion that was there when you wrote it. It's a moment of freedom. There's nothing to be worried about. There's nothing to be guilty about, nothing to be sorrowful about. This has been the way it's been for ages, and now you get to the chance to change it. So you read it out loud and you say, "Dear Aunt Flo," and just read it exactly as you've written it, exactly as it's written. You can cry, you can laugh, you can, any of the emotions that actually come up, read it all out loud. And at the end, if you feel it's integral to your own authentic self, say no harm be done, or just say, "This is for Carol, no harm be done." And for those that really love healing and angels, you can actually say, "Angels of loving light, please come in." It's like a third party, and send healing to me, and send healing to Great Aunt Flo. And what you're doing there is you're tapping into the higher dimensional essence that you really are. And you're drawing a line in the sand that says, you know, I'm taking action on my story. I'm restoring my own loving power to myself. Because the next step that you do, once you've finished that in its entirety, is you burn it. You burn the letter or letters, whatever it's in, whatever form it is, you need to burn it. Fire is a great cathartic cleansing, and it's a ritual. Humans love ritual. We're born of ritual, and we need it. And when you burn it, that's the time perhaps you may want to say, no harm be done, angels heal everything in all of this situation, please. And you're drawing a line in the sand, and you're saying no more. This story has no more of me, no more of my power. I want my power. I want to choose what I do with my thoughts. I want to choose how I emotionally react to those thoughts. I want more choice of love, of light, of happiness, of joy, of clarity of mind. And this story has taken up so much of my life already. I'm willing to let it go. I'm willing to make the room and see what else comes in. Okay, so that's the complete, easy process. It's just making the promise. No one gets to hear this and no one gets to see it. I write the letter in integrity with all the truth that I am, even if I don't like parts of it. And then I read it out to the person imaginary with no harm be done and fully engage. Then I burn it. And when I'm burning things, you can, you know, there's all sorts of things you can say, like, I'm free of this situation. You've had enough of my energy. I'm restoring my power back to me. As I see this go into ashes, I rise like the phoenix and I am renewed. Any of those wonderful things. And then sleep on it. Be kind to yourself that night. What's actually happened is, in energetic terms, you've made some space. So the universe doesn't really like spaces. It tends to kind of like fill that space, whether it's on a cellular level or quantum, with what's just been there if there's nothing else replaced or put in there. So you get the chance now to write a letter to yourself. Dear me. Go me, I've restored my power. Wow. And then it's actually starting to write a letter of all the things you want instead. I want the peace of mind. I want the peace of heart. I want everything to be this, 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 and this. So you write a beautiful, gorgeous, wonderful letter of all the light that you are now that you've dealt with the shadow. So you write all the things you want in your world. You write all the things that you have in your world that you're really, really grateful for. You really be honest about your world, and you allow all of those things, those beautiful things, to surface once again, because they're also in there. They're very much in there. And the intuitive self will help you with this. It whispers beautiful things to you all of the time. So your intuition will help you find more and more and more love and things that you're happy with. So write a letter to yourself to remind yourself of the greatness, of the gorgeousness, of the beauty that your life already has. That one you can keep forever. That one you may wish, if you want, to take parts of it and write an affirmation out of it, and to remind yourself that this is you, that this is the light that you are. You know, for me, when I first started affirmations, I'd be sticking them up, you know, in the cupboard next to the kettle, so you could actually have a reminder there. You may want it sort of in your purse, you may want it in your car, all sorts of different places to remind you of this new story. You know, we're creatures of habit, so we really, really, really need the habit to be ingrained over a good 6-week period. And to do that, we need reminders of the goodness. We need reminders of the beauty. Now, some people really like to burn that letter of all the goodness that they are, and they offer it out into the universe, and they say, bring me this, one of my favourite lines, or something better. So again, you may wish to burn it, put it out into the universe and forget about it and just leave it. But for those that that feel a bit nervous about that being the ending and being good enough and being, is that enough, or will the old story rule again? Feel a little bit uncomfortable about finishing there, then we can add these affirmations. I am the light that I am. I am the love that I've been searching for. I am the change I wish to see in this world. You can use big sort of general affirmations, or you can use the ones that you've taken from your story. So if you want that extra reminder about the goodness that you are, please do it. It's really worth, especially if the story's been going on for some time, even if it's intermittently, it's really well worth using affirmations. Now, affirmations are something that some people are very aware of and use, and some people they're new to. And it's a statement of fact that you feel you can believe. And if your emotion can attach to that statement, that's the optimum way of it working. So, for some people to say, I'm amazingly beautiful, they can't feel that. They're like, So you'd need to step it down. Sometimes I feel beautiful. And so that most people can actually get around and think, yeah, I can engage with that. So that feels a bit more exciting. It opens up possibilities, and it's truthful, because we're living in an age where the higher vibration asks us to be completely truthful, willing to be seen on all levels. So these sort of stepping down the affirmations means that you start at the level that you feel is integral to your own heart and your own authentic truth. And therefore, after a few months of doing this, or years, or whatever it happens to be, you might be ready for the next step. And then you can actually engage in that truth, because we change all of the time. All of the time. Change is a guarantee. It's what we do with the change that really counts to help bring that positivity or hopefulness or good health or whatever it is that you're after into your life. So that's it for today. Many people have really benefited from this, so I hope I hope you have a go. And would you please write to me and let me know if you're doing this and how it's actually affected your life. That would be really interesting to know. Or if you need any further information about it, down below this video you'll find a step-by-step process as a reminder of all that we've said today, so that makes it a bit easier to follow. If you just engage in those simple steps, you'll get there. I believe in you. You can do it. You can free your heart to make more love and light in you, and therefore, like a pebble in the water, you'll have that ripple effect where it affects everyone around you in a positive way, and it affects the world generally. So by you allowing yourself a little bit of heaven on earth, everyone benefits. So that's it for today. Love you, soul to soul. Bye.